Yo, I thought I would do a video, kind of a stream of consciousness video about the recent announcement that Jacob Fowler will be joining Le Grande Équipe. Calling Jacob Fowler up to the Montreal Canadiens and kind of the controversy, I guess, behind it. A lot of fans seem to be very passionate about this decision. And I think that the popular opinion about this decision is that it's too early and that you're setting him up for failure, putting him behind this defensive team. I thought I'd weigh in a little bit heavier on this with my opinions and tell you what I think, because personally, I don't think that's the way to look at it. Let's talk about it.
You know, to establish maybe yourself here in the NHL.
Is it time?
Is it time?
Is it time? Is it?
It is.
It is.
It was announced late last night after the game that Jacob Fowler, Adam Engstrom, and Owen Beck are being recalled to the Montreal Canadiens. It's no secret. The Montreal Canadiens are having problems with their goaltenders, also defensively. Now, I've defended the goaltenders basically more than the team has, but I will totally relent when we're talking about whether or not we're happy with the goaltending that we're receiving right now. No, we're not happy with the goaltending that we're receiving on the Montreal Canadiens right now. You can talk about all the 2-on-1s they give up, all the breakaways, all the giveaways in front of the net, guys left wide open, terrible defensive breakdowns. But that happens to other goaltenders as well, and you rely on goaltenders to sometimes make that big miracle save. And it's not happening enough on the Canadiens. So many of these games would be saved if there was just 1 or 2 extra big saves a night. And that's not counting the goals that go in when a beach ball is thrown at the net and it somehow finds its way behind Dobesh or Montembeault, usually Montembeault. So the Canadiens are dipping into the well. There's a young 21-year-old Jacob Fowler waiting in the wings, sharpening his teeth, waiting to get into the NHL to show what he's got. And maybe that's not being talked about enough when people are saying, hey, he's too young, it's too early, it's not the right time, this is going to ruin him somehow. What does Fowler want? I can guarantee you, if you asked him, hey, do you want to play in the NHL tomorrow? I think you'd know his answer, right? He's not going to say, well, yeah, they've got good defensemen, but Matheson and Dobson, they're not clicking right now. And Carrier's just a shadow of his former self. I'll wait until call me when Goalie gets back. No, that's not what he would say. He'd say, give me the shot right now. I'm going to do my best. And I have been doing my best to get you the latest Habs information. So if you're a Habs fan, please consider subscribing to my channel. We're so close to 20,000 subscribers. We're like 300 more subscribers and we're hitting 20,000 subscribers. It's bonkers. Thank you so much for your support. Like the video as well. It helps me out with searchability, findability, SEO, one of those. Back to the topic at hand. So the debate is, you're putting him in front of, well, I guess not in front. You're putting him behind a defensive squadron that is not firing on all cylinders right now. And it's true. They're not playing very good defense. Is it the system? Is the system wrong? People are saying it's the system. This is Martin St. Louis' fault. He's got to run a different system. Listen, this is the same system they've been using. Remember in October? Was there something wrong with that system? There's like 23 other teams running the same style system. This is a details game. They are not crossing their I's and dotting their T's. Simple as that. They're allowing rush plays to get them flustered, and they're not setting up properly in the defensive zone, not finding their guys, not tying them up, puck watching, so on and so forth. A lot of fundamental problems. It's disappointing to see. It really is, but it's not something that is hard baked into the way that they play. They're just not playing their game properly. So is it a motivation thing? Martin St. Louis has admitted that, you know, they get discouraged when you let in 2 goals in 36 seconds. Yeah, it's going to deflate you a little bit. And I think that he's admitted that is felt on the bench. They need good starts. They need the puck to bounce the way that they like it. And really, it feels like the community is panicking because the community is very reactionary and they panic all the time. But they're 3 points, well, probably less than that tonight, but they're 3 points currently, as I'm recording this video, out of being in first place in the division. 6 points from being last, but it's a weird year. It's tight. It's very tight in the Atlantic. All that to say, yeah, the defense, not where you want it to be right now. But could that change if they put Fowler in net? That's weird, Whiskey. Why would it change if is Fowler going to join the players with setting up in the defensive zone? No, he's gonna be in his crease. But it's funny how it works. Sometimes teams will play better in front of certain goaltenders, knowing we've got a rookie in net for the first night. Maybe this is the booster juice that they need to start a game properly. I know with Montembeault and Dobesh, they have intentions to play a tight, sound defensive game, but this is also a team that when they see a loose puck in front of the opponent's goaltender, they will overextend themselves to try to get there, a forward or a defenseman, and sabotage themselves in the offensive zone. That's been happening often. Also losing pucks at the blue line, errant passes in the offensive zone. I think they are looking for quality chances, and Martin St. Louis has talked about that. And I think that they're looking for quality chances a little bit too much. I think that certain players need to adopt a shoot first mentality. And it's funny how that will change what happens in the defensive zone. If you're having shooters shoot instead of making passes back to their blue liner, maybe their blue liner gets overwhelmed and it goes back the other direction on a 2-on-1 or a break. Well, instead of passing the puck to the blue liner, maybe that shooter, Demidov, should try to get in tight more often and shoot from a danger opportunity. Just my thoughts about that. And let's get back to why Fowler is a good choice right now. If he goes out there and he faces a firing squad and gets lit up, it's a 7-0 game. First of all, it's not going to get to that. He will get pulled if it's looking grim. But what happens? You chalk it up to it's probably going to be the defense again if something like that happens. The worst thing could happen is he gets embarrassed. He gets out there and he lets in a bunch of beach balls and muffins. I don't think that's happening with Fowler. He has a good record in the AHL. He's demonstrating that he can do it. And there is precedent there. Precedent as early as this season with Sergei Murashov. Plays on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now he's killing it in the AHL. But he played, I think, 4 games with the big club this season, and he was lights out. And Pittsburgh has certainly drawn out a storyline for themselves this season. Maybe the Canadiens can steal a little bit of that juice as well. And funny enough, they'll be facing off against the Penguins, where Fowler could see his potential start. So he gets lit up, not good, but they'll just reshuffle him. They'll say, "Hey, it was a test. Go sow your oats. We'll try you again soon." But then what happens if he's lights out like Murashov has been? Who knows? That could be the exact thing that the Habs need right now. A few starts from a young goaltender in December. Does this sound familiar? Sneak out a couple of fancy little wins. And at this point in the season, 2-3 wins means a lot. So in another way, I kind of see this as Habs management pulling out all the stops, trying every available option to see if they can hang in there, because they're on a rope full of grease and they're slipping. Their defense looks like garbage, and their offense, they're struggling to get 3 goals a game. You need to get, if you have a good offensive team, you need to get 3 goals a game, in my opinion, to make it a reasonable game for your goaltender to be effective, right? If your goaltender can just allow 2 goals and your offense can produce 3, guess what? You win. The average goals per game in the NHL is like 4 points, it's close to 5. So the math guys will figure out that 3 goals will win the majority of games. So it's those reasons. I think that they will get a boost from just having a young rookie goaltender in the net. They'll play more urgently in front of him. There's not a lot of risk. If he embarrasses himself, yeah, that's not good. That hurts the confidence a little bit, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that worst case scenario is he gets pulled after being sold down the river. I think that the reward is good if he performs well. He could see maybe a couple of little starts, and then they can go from there. There's precedent there. Murashov for the Penguins did some good work. I think that 21-year-old Jacob Fowler, who was drafted earlier than Murashov, I don't know if I'm even saying his name right. I hope I am. I think that 21-year-old Jacob Fowler has the pedigree to put down a solid game in the NHL right now. The other thing is they're jumping all over Martin St. Louis for the comments that he said backing up his players when asked by Arpan Basu about the age of the team and why are they making the team younger right now. It seems like now would be a good time to inject more veteran players instead of Engstrom, instead of Fowler, instead of Beck. Have a listen.
Last night, Nick mentioned on more than one occasion that a team that was young to start the season because of the injuries just got younger, and that's sort of...
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Nick, your captain said last night a couple of times that because of the injuries, a very young team became younger over the course of the season. You're younger now than you were at the start of the season. And today, you're even younger in some ways. I mean, it's just like when you say you want to see what you have in the well, I can understand that, but it's just under the circumstances, it just seems like an odd time to want to see what your youth looks like when you're already so youthful. Well, because you got a very young team already. You got a lot of rookies in the lineup. Like it just seems like, is this not just does that jive with you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, were we the youngest team to start the season?
You were, yeah.
Okay. I think we went 10-3-2.
Yeah.
Was our youth a concern then?
No, but
so why is it now?
Well, I don't know. Well, ask Nick. Nick mentioned it himself last night twice.
Okay. It's 5 minutes after a game. Probably emotional and involved. I don't think Nick. You ask Nick the question today, and you can ask him. And sometimes that's just the answers that come out. But for me, you have two choices: make progress or make excuses, and you can't do both.
Marty Starr, you consider that an excuse to talk about youth?
I will never use our youth as an excuse. Never.
I love the sentiment that Martin St. Louis shares here. There's definitely data that blows back in his face about this. The youngest team who's ever won the Cup was the 2008-2009 Pittsburgh Penguins. Their average age at that time was really close to 27. Montreal is about 24 right now. Montreal is also one of the smaller teams in the NHL, but don't talk about the size of the player with Martin St. Louis. He will give you a blast. But also on that point, the two smaller teams in the league right now, Colorado Avalanche, Minnesota Wild. How are they doing? They're doing pretty all right. And this response by St. Louis, it's not making excuses for the team. I love that. Not blaming one part of the team, not blaming any part of the team. There are elephants in the room. The management is obviously very aware of that. The real secret that nobody wants to say and that they'll never come out with because it doesn't sell tickets is, and I'm sorry to say it, but they need to be patient. We need to be patient. A 24-year-old average age team squeaked into the playoffs last season. They could get in again this season. And if they do, I think that you should temper your expectations and think of it as just a little extra fun for the season. This is still a team that is rebuilding. Even with the injuries coming back, look at the potential bottom six lines at practice today. There are 2 NHL players on that line. Is that a Stanley Cup competing team? Not trying to be negative. This is a realistic Whiskeylung. I'm not trying to ever blow smoke in your face. That's what I think. And you could disagree. Michael Hayes, Yasuaki, and now we're seeing Fowler getting implemented. The future is still bright. We, again, just got to be patient. I also like this little Twitter interaction between me and somebody who says, honestly, respect to Arpan Basu for being one of the few with enough journalistic integrity to actually press the brass with tough questions. We get enough fluff pieces from the usual propagandists. Basu's been like this no matter who's in charge, and it's commendable. To which I say, he asked St. Louis if now was the time to test more youth, even though the team's already young, and St. Louis backed his guys, saying youth isn't an excuse to lose. That's a tough question? Come on. A real tough question would be, when is it time to start looking in the mirror? Which can certainly be said about some of the choices for lines and some of the choices for line changes in like the heat of the game. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys. Hope you thought that was fun. I was asked recently to my opinions on that. I thought I'd get it all out in one video. And like I said, it's been a hot topic in the community, so I might as well throw my hat into the ring, let you know my thoughts on the whole thing. Always rhyming. You know what to do. Hit that like button. It helps me out with search something. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'd love to have you as part of the community. And as always, I will see you down in the comments.